The iron found in King Tut's dagger didn't come from Earth. It was forged from a meteorite that fell from the heavens. To the Egyptians it was iron from the sky, a gift from the gods. Imagine holding a piece of a star, cold and eternal in your hand. Feel the weight of the universe. Breathing slowly. Deep beneath the sands of Saqqara lies the Serapeum, massive granite boxes weighing over 80 tons each, cut with precision. Even today we struggle to explain how they were moved into such tight tunnels. Some say they were coffins, others believe they were something more mechanical. Let the mystery settle like falling dust. Ancient Egyptians used moldy bread to treat infections, thousands of years before the discovery of penicillin. They didn't know about bacteria, but they knew the earth provided healing, wisdom hidden in a simple crust of bread, healing thoughts flowing through you. The Great Pyramid is the only ancient wonder that is 8-sided, not 4. This subtle concavity is only visible from the air during the equinoxes, a masterpiece of engineering invisible to the naked eye on the ground, precision that defies the tools of their time. Slow your heart like the steady stone. In the tomb of a priest named Nesyamun, scientists did the impossible. They used 3D scans of his vocal tract to recreate his voice, one single vowel echoing across 3,000 years, a sound from the past breaking a long silence. Listen to the silence, drifting deeper. Egyptian women had a unique way to test for pregnancy. They would urinate on bags of barley and wheat. If the grain sprouted, it meant a child was coming. Surprisingly, modern tests proved this method was 70% accurate. Nature knows the way. Rest now. The lost city of Heraklion wasn't a myth. It was found submerged under the Mediterranean Sea. Giant statues and temples resting in the cold, dark water. A kingdom claimed by the waves, waiting for centuries. Sink into your dreams like the city in the sea. Workers on the pyramids were not slaves, but respected laborers. They even organized the first recorded labor strike in history. When their rations of grain and oil were delayed, they walked off the job, demanding dignity even in the shadow of the Pharaoh. Peaceful strength filling your mind. The curse of the pharaohs might have a scientific origin. Ancient tombs often contain sealed pockets of mold and bacteria. Some suggest low-level radiation from the granite itself. The curse was not magic, but the breath of the tomb itself. Breathe in peace, breathe out the old. Egyptian doctors performed complex brain surgery. Skulls have been found with precise drill holes and signs of healing. They understood the pulse and the connection between the heart and the limbs. Knowledge carved in bone. Your body is resting, safe and sound. The Great Sphinx was once painted in vibrant colors, red on the face, blue and yellow on the body. Imagine a giant, colorful guardian glowing under the desert sun. Now only the pale stone remains, weathered by time.
colors fading into the night, gently. They used honey as a natural antibiotic and for preserving food. Archaeologists have found pots of honey in tombs that are 3,000 years old, and it is still perfectly edible. A golden sweetness that never dies. Golden light behind your eyelids. The unfinished obelisk in Aswan tells a story of failure. A massive stone, nearly 1,200 tons, cracked while it was being carved. Left in the bedrock, a giant that never got to stand. Even the greatest masters face the unexpected. Let go of the day. It is okay to rest. Egyptians were the first to use spirit levels for construction. They used trenches filled with water to ensure the ground was perfectly flat. Simple water guiding the alignment of the world's heaviest structures. Finding balance in the simplest elements. Find your balance in the quiet. The blue lotus flower was more than a decoration. It was used in rituals to induce a state of lucid dreaming and relaxation, a bridge between the waking world and the realm of the soul. Petals floating on the surface of the mind, floating, drifting, dreaming. Kohl, the dark eyeliner they wore, was not just for beauty. The lead-based mineral protected their eyes from the sun's glare, and it acted as a disinfectant against eye infections. Function wrapped in elegance. Your eyes are heavy, closing now. The Great Pyramid is aligned to true north with incredible accuracy, within 3/60ths of a degree, more accurate than many modern buildings. They used the stars as their compass and the earth as their canvas, aligned with the stars, perfectly still. They believed the heart, not the brain, was the seat of intelligence. During mummification, the brain was discarded, but the heart was kept. They thought the heart recorded every deed of a person's life, a library of feelings and truths. Listen to your heart, beating slowly. Ancient Egyptians had a game called Senet. It wasn't just for fun, it represented the journey of the soul. Winning the game meant you were protected in the afterlife. A game of fate played with sticks and stones. The game is over. Time to sleep. There are secret shafts inside the Great Pyramid that point to specific stars. One points to Orion, another to Sirius, like a giant stone telescope locked on to the heavens. Perhaps the pharaohs never really left, they just went home. The stars are watching. You are safe.
Deep in the temple of Hathor, there is a strange relief known as the Dendera light. It depicts what looks like a giant light bulb with a snake-like filament inside. Mainstream science calls it a lotus flower, but others see an ancient technology. The absence of soot in many tombs suggests they had a way to see without fire. Imagine a soft glow in the dark, illuminating your thoughts. The Egyptian desert is the perfect chemist. They used a natural salt called natron to dry out bodies during mummification. It absorbed moisture and killed bacteria, stopping time in its tracks. The same salt was used to make glass, turning sand into transparency. dry, calm sand shifting in your mind. Ancient Egyptian stonemasons used tube drills to cut through solid granite. The circular grooves found in some stones suggest they cut faster than modern diamond drills. How they achieved such torque without electricity remains a silent riddle. The stones were not forced, they were understood. Listen to the rhythmic hum and let go. In a tomb near Luxor, archaeologists found the world's oldest prosthetic, a functional toe made of wood and leather belonging to a noblewoman. It wasn't just for looks, it was designed to help her walk again. Even thousands of years ago, they refused to let the body fail. Step into the quiet, move with the wind. Twice a year, the sun performs a miracle at the temple of Abu Simbel. On February 22nd and October 22nd, the sun's rays travel 200 feet into the temple. They illuminate the statues of the gods in the back room, except for the god of darkness. Calculated light 3,000 years ago. Warm sunlight on a cold stone floor. The Great Pyramid was once covered in casing stones made of polished limestone. They were so white and smooth they reflected the sun like a giant mirror. Visible from miles away, it was a mountain of light in the middle of the desert. Now only the core remains like an old skeleton. Bright light fading into soft gray. Ancient Egyptians had dream temples where people went to seek healing. They would sleep in sacred rooms, hoping for a vision from the gods. The priest would then interpret the dream to cure the mind and the body. They knew the power of sleep long before we did. Entering the dream temple now. The king's chamber in the Great Pyramid is made of red granite from Aswan. This stone is rich in quartz, a crystal known for its piezoelectric properties. Some believe the chamber was a resonator, vibrating with the earth's energy. A machine of stone humming a low, steady frequency. Feel the vibration, calming your nerves. The Sphinx wasn't built, it was carved out of a single piece of limestone bedrock. Imagine the sculptor looking at a hill of stone and seeing a lion. They didn't add material, they removed everything that wasn't the Sphinx. A mountain turned into a mystery. Release the excess, become still. They used water clocks to tell time during the night. A vessel with a small hole where the water dripped out at a constant rate. Markings on the inside told the hour as the water level dropped. Time measured in drops falling into the dark. Drip, drip, drift away. The Edwin Smith Papyrus contains a detailed map of the human brain. It describes the meninges, the cerebrospinal fluid, and the surface of the brain. It is the first document in history to use the word brain. Ancient surgeons charting the territory of the soul. Your mind is a map, and you are home. The Saqqara bird is a wooden artifact that looks remarkably like a glider. Found in a tomb from 200 BC, it has the wings and tail of an aircraft. While most see a bird, engineers see aerodynamic principles. Perhaps they understood the sky better than we think, gliding through the air, weightless. Hieroglyphs were not just for writing, they were medut neger, the words of God. They believed that by writing something, it became real. That is why some hieroglyphs of dangerous animals were broken or cut to prevent them from coming to life in the afterlife. Words have power, but silence is peace. The labyrinth of Egypt was once described as more impressive than the pyramids, an underground palace with 3,000 rooms and endless winding passages. Pliny and Herodotus both saw it, yet it remains undiscovered beneath the sand, a giant maze waiting to be found, wandering through corridors of soft velvet. Ancient Egyptians used copper pipes for elaborate plumbing systems. In the mortuary temple of Sahure, 1,300 feet of copper piping were found. Fresh water flowed in and waste flowed out. Comfort and hygiene in a world we call primitive. Flowing water, washing away the day. The pharaohs were often buried with boats of the sun, huge wooden ships disassembled and buried in pits next to the pyramids, meant to carry the king across the sky in his journey after death, sailing on the stars where the water is light, sailing on a dark, quiet sea. Egyptian math used a base 10 system, much like ours, but they calculated areas and volumes using pi and the golden ratio. The proportions of the pyramids are too perfect to be an accident. Geometry was their bridge to the divine. Perfect shapes in a perfect void. Beer was so important that it was used as currency. Pyramid workers were paid in gallons of thick, nutritious ale. It was safer to drink than the water, and it provided the calories needed to move mountains. A civilization built on bread and golden liquid. Warmth in your stomach, relaxation in your limbs. The Valley of the Kings was chosen for its natural shape. The mountain above it, El Kern, is shaped like a perfect natural pyramid. They hid their kings under a mountain made by God, not by man. Nature and architecture working as one. The mountain protects you. You are safe. In 1993, a small robot named Upuaut 2 crawled up a narrow shaft in the pyramid. It found a small stone door with 2 copper handles. Beyond it was another void, another mystery. The pyramid refuses to give up all its secrets at once. There is always more, but for now, just rest. In 1954, a giant pit was found next to the Great Pyramid containing a dismantled ship. The Khufu ship was a 143-foot-long masterpiece of naval engineering. It was made of 1,224 separate pieces, buried like a giant 3D puzzle. Built without a single nail, it used ropes that tightened when wet to seal the wood. Floating on a sea of stars, drifting away. The Fayum portraits are the most realistic faces from the ancient world. Painted on wooden boards, they show people with striking, lifelike eyes. They were attached to mummies, serving as a window into the person's soul. When you look at them, you realize they were just like us, looking back across time. Eyes closing softly, seeing only peace. Ancient Egyptian architects understood acoustic resonance. Some chambers in temples are designed to amplify certain frequencies of the human voice. Chanting in these rooms creates a physical vibration that can be felt in the bones. A symphony of stone and sound designed to heal the spirit. Feel the low hum vibrating through your body. Tutankhamun wore a pectoral jewel featuring a strange yellow-green scarab. Scientists discovered it was made of Libyan desert glass. This glass was formed 29 million years ago when an asteroid impacted the Sahara. A piece of cosmic fire worn by a boy king. Stardust in your dreams, falling gently. Modern satellite imagery has revealed lost pyramids buried under the sand. Using infrared technology, scientists found 17 hidden structures in one area alone. The desert is a vast ocean, and we have only seen the tips of the icebergs. Wait, watch, and let the sand reveal its secrets. Let the sand cover the day. Everything is quiet. How did they move the massive 1,000-ton colossi of Memnon? A wall painting reveals a clever trick, wetting the sand in front of the sledges. Just the right amount of water reduces friction by half, making the heavy light. Knowledge found in the balance between water and earth, gliding effortlessly through the stillness. The Kahun Gynecological Papyrus is the oldest medical text of its kind. It covers treatments for health, pregnancy, and even contraception. They understood the body's cycles and the power of natural minerals. Ancient hands caring for the future before it arrived. A soft, caring touch in the dark. The great library of Alexandria was the center of all human knowledge. It held hundreds of thousands of scrolls, including the lost history of the world. When it burned, it was as if the world lost its memory. But some say the most important secrets were hidden away before the fire. Lost words whispering in the wind. Egyptian shipbuilders used mortise and tenon joints, a technique still used in fine woodworking today. They locked the planks of their ships together with precision-cut wooden tabs. This allowed the ships to be strong enough for the ocean, but flexible enough for the river. Strength through flexibility. Bend like a reed and relax. In 2017, a big void was discovered inside the Great Pyramid using muon tomography. Muons are subatomic particles that pass through stone but get absorbed by dense material. This massive, empty space has no known entrance or exit. It has been sitting there in total darkness for 4,500 years. Darkness is just a space for resting. The granite quarries of Aswan show how they cut stone using wooden wedges. They would cut holes into the rock, drive in dry wood,
and pour water on it. As the wood expanded, it cracked the granite with surgical precision. The power of a tree breaking a mountain. The slow expansion of a deep breath. The opening of the mouth ceremony was a ritual to give the mummy its senses back. Using a special tool, a priest would touch the face of the statue or mummy. This was believed to allow the soul to breathe, speak, and eat in the afterlife, waking up in a world where time doesn't exist. Breathe in, breathe out, slowly. Queen Hatshepsut, one of the most successful pharaohs, wore a face beard. It was a symbol of divine power and the office of the king, regardless of gender. She chose to be a lion among men, ruling with wisdom and peace. Identity is a cloak. We shed it when we sleep. Resting your head, letting go of who you are. Egyptian mortar was incredibly strong, and its exact recipe is still debated. It was used to level the massive stones of the pyramids. Even today, the mortar is stronger than the stones it holds together, a bond that refuses to break, even after 4 millennia, holding everything together with a gentle touch. The Opet festival was a time when the gods themselves would travel. Statues of Amun, Mut, and Khonsun were carried in golden boats from Karnak to Luxor. The whole city danced, sang, and feasted under the moonlight, a celebration of life before the silence of the temple. The music fades into a distant memory. Egyptian blue is the world's first synthetic pigment. Created by heating a mixture of calcium, copper, and silica, it was used to color the heavens on the ceilings of tombs. Even under infrared light, this blue glows with its own energy. Glowing blue in the deep dark. The temperature inside the Great Pyramid remains a constant 20 degrees Celsius, despite the scorching desert heat or the freezing desert nights. The massive stone thermal mass acts as a perfect insulator, a place where the climate never changes and time stands still.
Long before modern dams, the Egyptians managed the flow of the Nile. In the Fayum Basin, they created Lake Moeris, a massive reservoir to store floodwaters. A complex system of canals and sluice gates acted as a giant hydraulic regulator. They didn't just survive the flood, they programmed the river. Water flowing gently through the channels of your mind. Long before modern dams, the Egyptians managed the flow of the Nile. In the Fayum Basin, they created Lake Moeris, a massive reservoir to store floodwaters. A complex system of canals and sluice gates acted as a giant hydraulic regulator. They didn't just survive the flood, they programmed the river. Water flowing gently through the channels of your mind. Deep in the Sahara stands Nabta Playa, the world's oldest astronomical calendar. Standing stones aligned to the summer solstice and the stars of Orion, built by nomadic cattle herders 7,000 years ago, long before the first pyramid. A stone clock in the silence of the desert, counting the stars. The universe is turning while you remain still. Deep in the Sahara stands Nabta Playa, the world's oldest astronomical calendar. standing stones aligned to the summer solstice and the stars of Orion, built by nomadic cattle herders 7,000 years ago, long before the first pyramid. A stone clock in the silence of the desert, counting the stars. The universe is turning while you remain still. The bent pyramid of Senefru is a monument to a mid-project engineering correction. Initially built at a steep 54-degree angle, the structure began to show cracks. Halfway through, the architects changed the angle to 43 degrees to save it from collapse. It is a rare, honest look at the learning curve of ancient masters. Every mistake is a lesson. Let the tension go. The Tarkan dress is the oldest woven garment in the world. Made of fine linen with beautiful pleats, it is over 5,000 years old. It was once worn by a woman who walked the streets of the early kingdom, a ghost of fashion preserved by the dry, protective heat of the sand. Soft linen, wrapping you in comfort. Ancient Egyptian statues sometimes have eyes made of polished rock crystal. The lenses are convex and ground with such precision they seem to follow you. They mimic the structure of a real human eye with a depth that feels alive. Looking into the eyes of a scribe is like looking through a window into the past. Eyes closing, finding the light within. The Wadi al-Jarf is the oldest known man-made harbor in the world. Located on the Red Sea, it was used to transport copper and stone. Archaeologists found logbooks there written on papyrus, the oldest ever discovered. The dry ink of a clerk recorded 4,500 years ago still tells the story of the day, quietly recording the peace of the night. To move the massive obelisks, they used the rising Nile as a hydraulic lift. They would dig a canal under the stone, then bring in heavy barges. As the river rose, the water lifted the ships and the obelisk was carried away, using the strength of the earth to move the weight of the heavens, rising and falling with the tide of your breath. Ancient Egyptian math used a unique system of unit fractions. They broke complex numbers down into sums of fractions with a numerator of 1. 3 in 4 would be written as 1 in 2 plus 1 in 4. A beautiful rhythmic way to divide the world into perfect, manageable pieces, dividing the day into moments of peace. The Valley of the Whales is a desert in Egypt filled with fossils of whales with legs, Basilosaurus, creatures from a time when the Sahara was a vast, deep ocean, bones resting in the sand where waves once crashed. The world changes, but the silence remains the same. Ocean waves turning into sand in your dreams. Egyptians were the masters of faience, a non-clay ceramic. They used ground quartz and minerals to create a self-glazing material. When fired, it turned a brilliant turquoise blue, the color of the Nile. A bright blue glow in the back of your mind. The Rind mathematical papyrus contains 84 different problems. It covers everything from calculating the slope of a pyramid to the volume of a granary. It begins with the phrase, accurate reckoning for inquiring into all things. The search for truth began with a pen and a scroll, solving the puzzle by letting it go.
To keep their homes cool, they used wind catchers or malkaf, openings on the roof designed to catch the high, cool breezes and pull them down. A natural air conditioning system that worked without a single spark of electricity. The desert wind invited inside to rest. A cool breeze blowing through your room. They used kifi, a sacred incense made of 16 secret ingredients. Honey, wine, raisins, myrrh, and cinnamon were ground together. It was burned at sunset to clear the mind and prepare the soul for sleep. A scent that traveled between the worlds of men and gods. A scent of myrrh, calming your heart. The groma and the merchant were their primary surveying tools. The merchant used a plumb line and a notched palm leaf to track the stars. This allowed them to lay out temples with a precision that modern GPS would admire, drawing straight lines on a curved earth, perfectly aligned, perfectly still. Ancient Egyptian hekau, or magic, was seen as a science of the mind. They believed that words and symbols could change the physical world. A doctor didn't just give medicine, he spoke to the illness, healing through the power of intention and sound. Soft words healing you now. The city of Amarna was built as a sun city with a grid-like layout. It was constructed in record time using small, standardized stones called talatat. These stones were light enough for one man to carry, allowing for rapid assembly. The first modular construction system in human history. One stone at a time, building a dream. The ankh is more than a cross. It is the union of opposites. The loop represents the feminine and the eternal, while the cross represents the masculine and the physical. Together, they form the symbol of life itself, a key that opens the gates of both the earth and the sky. The key is turning, the door is open. In the workers' village of Deir Medina, almost everyone could read and write. Thousands of ostraca, pieces of broken pottery, were found with shopping lists, letters, and jokes. Literacy was not just for the elite, it was the pulse of the community. A village where every stone had a story to tell. Writing your own story in the stars.